welcome to the third and final day of the Buddhist Summer School and to this course entitled The Seven Branch Prayer, Embodying the Essence of Practice. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce Sam, who probably doesn't need any introduction, but for those who haven't attended any of Sam's talks, Sam Bercholz is the founder of Shambhala Publications and is a lifelong Buddhist educator. He holds the lineages of the Karma Kagyu and the Dujum Tasa Nyingma lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. He has been a close disciple of Kyabje Tinling Norbu Rinpoche and also of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and was empowered by both of them to teach the Buddha Dharma. Without further ado, it is my great honor to welcome everyone, and thank you so much, Sam, for your generosity in sharing the Dharma with us all today. Thank you, Sam.
Have I appeared on screen?
Yes.
Oh, wow. How come I see your face? How nice. Good morning, everybody in the Southern Hemisphere, and a good morning, afternoon to most of you in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm sitting here on my couch in my palace, a condominium, not a condominium. That's supposed to be funny. Gabriel, you're not laughing. And I'm nervous as can be because the great Vajra Master, the ever kind, ever helpful, ever wondrous Tralig Kyabyan Rinpoche invited me here. He invited me here over and over. And even though he has passed into nirvana, that which he called Lodro's lair still is here. And by good fortune, I am one of the denizens of this lair. That's why you have to listen to me, because somehow I'm trapped in here with all of you. Now, I could view that as a burden. You could view it as a burden. You can view it as anything you like. But I'm a mere servant in this lair. And my service is simple. It's to, in the words of the great Kyabje Tinling Norbu Rinpoche, to introduce everyone in the lair to Padmasambhava Guru Rinpoche. And though you may have be already introduced, we're going to reintroduce again, but in a very simple way, hopefully, in a very direct way. When I was asked by Tralig Rinpoche's students to teach again at this Buddhist summer school, I don't know which number this is, this is, I know, 39. I think I may have been there at half of them, maybe more, I don't even remember exactly. But what I was asked to do was to the best of my ability, transmit what I learned from my root gurus, Trungpa Rinpoche and Tinley Norba Rinpoche. And specifically for this session, I didn't have a particular thought about what I should teach or what I should discuss. It's not really teaching. It's more like a sharing insight. And I asked the Wisdom Dakini, Sukha Siddhi, sometimes known as Amy. Amy, they've asked me to come to the summer school again. I'm stuck in Lodro's lair. How wonderful is that? And I asked her, what should I try to share with people? These people that were so loved by Tralagrim Rinpoche and also loved by me, because those of you that I know, even though we're thousands of miles apart, it's been years since I've seen you in the flesh, you cross my minds all the time. You're part of my practice. You're part of my mind stream. You're the noble Sangha of Kyabyan Tralag Rinpoche. So she said, have you taught on white sail yet? And I said, no, I don't think so, but maybe I have, I can't remember. But she said, why don't you teach from Tinley Norba Rinpoche's White Sail? And she specifically suggested that I teach from the chapter, the 7-branch prayer of the accumulation of merit. So I've read and reread White Sail many times in my life. And now I've read and reread that chapter many times in the last several days. And I am so thankful for the simplicity of these teachings and the practicality of these teachings for Dharma students. Those of you who are new, welcome. Welcome to Lodro's Lair. So let's begin. When I went to find out where this 7-branch prayer appeared, I did some studies. I went back and I looked at my copy of Shantideva's The Way of the Bodhisattva. Just because it's so definitive, because Shantideva, in his own way and in his own words and through his own experience, presented the Bodhisattva Path, the path that we call Mahayana, sometimes Sutrayana, the actual practice of becoming and being a bodhisattva, of being open, of being kind, of being compassionate, of being fearless. It is a noble path. In fact, it is probably the noblest path we can find in our human pathways. doing things for the benefit of others, seeing others as, and ourselves, as Buddhas in progress, baby Buddhas. You know, we have our little diapers, you know, we're listening to what's going on. You know, the world starts making sense. We put together sounds and sights and smells and tastes and touches and thoughts. The world sort of organizes itself. And we learn all kinds of positive things. We learn all kinds of negative things. We have so many experiences. We have bouts of sadness. We have bouts of painful experience. We have little joys, sometimes big joys. But life can still be very confusing. And it's confusing in all the different stages of life, whether it's as baby or young boy or girl growing up, becoming an adult, trying to decide how does this world work, or how do we perceive how this world works, and so on. And then facing the inevitable, which is the passing of this human body. And how does that work? How do my experiences and attachments to my experiences work? And our life, our experience, is the basis of Dharma. The Buddhist teachings are based on his life experience. And he serves as a beacon, an example, and an example of extraordinary kindness, because what he discovered through looking at the nature of his own mind, which is called in the texts and generally, and you know, the name is sort of bandied around, enlightenment. That enlightenment, that enlightened mind, our mind is not separate from it and can share in that and become the activity of that wakefulness. Generally speaking, it requires a lot of work to become like Buddha. We are lucky, however, that amongst us, there are those who have gone before, who have Buddha-like qualities, or at least for a short time, Buddha-like wisdom and mind, whether it's our parents, a teacher in school, a friend, or a spiritual teacher as we grow up, and so on. It's said by the great Mahasiddha, the great yogi Saraha, absolute, inherently born wisdom mind only comes from the handprint of the purification of obscurations and great accumulations. That's part one. And then he goes further to say, or from being blessed by a highly realized guru. You must know that to try to depend on another method than that is foolish. So each of us is trying to find some version of happiness. In our ordinary existence, we'd like to be comfortable, we'd like to be free from pain, we'd like to have an unburdened mind, and so on. But enlightenment isn't just about those things. Those things are all centered back to what we would like. If we actually investigate, we come to find that we, or our idea of we, is not separate from the idea of thee, you, each of you, all sentient beings. And yes, we can experience little flashes of personal happiness. They're a wonderful thing. No problem, actually. The only problem is attachment to those things, because if we are always looking for fleeting happiness, or as you can have to pardon my French for a moment, but I'm quoting the great master, Kyabje Tinley Rinpoche. The problem with people is they're always looking for the 1-minute orgasm. They're not looking at the full extent of time and space. Only momentary pleasure, momentary happiness. So in this life, if we meet a genuine teacher, genuine teachings, we have the opportunity to go much further than just trying to be happy. We can be awake. And as Saraha, the great yogi, points out, 2 ways. One is accomplishing activity that is meritorious. I think it's called punya in Sanskrit. Gaining virtues, accumulating virtues. And the second is, the more rare, is for those of the keenest faculty, being blessed by the guru or lama or spiritual teacher. And it's said that the first way is the majority way. And for a minuscule number of individuals of the keenest faculty, realization can come from meeting the wisdom mind of the guru, lama, teacher, and not being ever separate from that, which is the same as not being separate from Buddha. And is the same as being a bodhisattva that fulfills the actions of Buddha, even if the action is non-action. So I'm going to read a little bit to begin with, the actual 7-line prayer. The actual 7-line prayer, the earliest I could find of it, and I didn't do a complete checking, is I found it both in Shantideva's Way of the Bodhisattva, and I've extracted from Shantideva's Way of the Bodhisattva, also known as the Bodhicaryavatara or the Bodhisattva-charyavatara. And I used the Padmakara translation, committee translation, because I think Weston Fletcher is a dharma translation genius, and his poetic translations are quite extraordinary. And I also found it as the prayer itself in one of the folios of the Avatamsaka Sutra, or flower ornament scripture of the Mahayana. So I extracted this from Shantideva, and it's extracted from both chapter 2 and chapter 3 of the Bodhicaryavatara. And it isn't a prayer by itself. It's incorporated in Shantideva's discussion on confession and his discussion on Bodhichitta. But if you extract, you find this. In the same way, the Bodhisattva Vow is oftentimes in many lineages extracted from Shantideva's work. So what we find in Shantideva is that everything that he's talking about, he talks about in the first person. He's not telling people to do things. He's telling people what he's doing, so to speak. He's sharing his own insight, not just doctrine. And he brings up things that might be considered embarrassing. But the way of the Bodhisattva is about going beyond embarrassment, beyond self-centeredness, beyond the idea of an individual self of any kind. So from chapter 2, it says, and it's for those of you who are bibliophiles and like the almost biblical approach to texts, it's 224, like the Bible, So 224 says, the Buddhas of the past, the present, and all future time, and to the Dharma and sublime assembly, with bodies many as grains of dust, upon the earth I will prostrate and bow. That is the first line of the 7-line prayer. It has to do with prostration. Then 222, just as Manjughosha and the like made offerings to all the conquerors, I do likewise to all Buddhas, our protectors, and all their Bodhisattva children. That's offering. 228 and 229. In this and all my other lives, while turning in the round without beginning, blindly I have brought for the evil and incited others to commit the same. Deceived and overmastered by my ignorance, I have taken pleasure in such sin. And seeing now the blame of it, O great protectors, I confess earnestly. Then from chapter 3:1. With joy, I celebrate the virtue that relieves all beings from the sorrows of the states of loss, exulting in the happy states enjoyed by those who yet are suffering. 3:4, their enlightened attitude, an ocean of great good that seeks to place all beings in the state of bliss and every action for the benefit of beings. Such is my delight and joy. And these two sections are known as the rejoicing. 3:5, and so I join my hands and pray, the Buddhas who reside in every quarter, kindle now the Dharma's light. For those who grope, bewildered in the dark of pain. This is the requesting the teachers to turn the wheel of Dharma. 3:6, I join my hands, beseeching the enlightened ones who wish to pass into nirvana. Do not leave us wandering in blindness. Stay among us for unnumbered ages. And this is the sixth branch or sixth limb of the prayer, which is asking teachers to remain, to stay alive. And the last one is 3:7. Through these actions now performed and all the virtues I have gained, may all the pain of every living being be wholly scattered and destroyed. This is the dedication. So what we have here are instructions, but Shantideva is not giving the instruction. Shantideva is making the prayer himself, as we can also make the prayer. What do we mean by prayer? Some of us grew up in a tradition where, prayer is something you did by your bedside at night, wishing well for your mom and your dad and your sister and your brother, or whatever it was. Prayer is, meal prayer for what we are about to receive. May the Lord be truly thankful, or something like that, right? Just joking. No one got that joke. Okay, let's try again. For what we are about to receive, may the Lord be truly thankful. I'm being so sacrosanct, so bad, so sorry. But prayer, in this sense, is about the eradication of our bad habits. In our life, whatever our circumstances may be, we develop all kinds of extraordinary bad habits. And according to the Buddha Dharma, the reason that they are extraordinarily bad habits is that they have been developed since beginningless time. And amongst these, the worst of our bad habits is what's called duality habit, the separation of ourself from other beings. The thought and action that does not include other beings, human, animal, and otherwise. And that habit causes havoc to so many beings, including ourselves. We have other habits also. We have theistic habits. Habits like believing no matter how bad we are and so on, et cetera, we're still going to be saved. Or if we do this and that, you know, some savior is going to take us out of this mess. Then if we're like really involved in this confused habit, we start thinking, oh, maybe this savior is me. Maybe I'm God. Oh, Atman, Brahman, it's the same. Okay, I can save myself. Wow. And one separates oneself from others even further. And there are all sort of theistic ways of that are habit. We have Hindu habits, we have Christian habits, we have Micmac Indian habits, we have Siberian Eskimo habits, we have Brazilian jungle habits, and all kinds of habits about something there that's going to take care of something here. And part of that habit can be pushed into prayer, that something or somebody can help us. And then we have nihilistic habits. Nihilistic habits are the particular onus of our times. We are, in one way, blessed by science, blessed by the ability to look at things clearly, to test things, and so on. But we become oftentimes confused by science because even though science points out very distinctly that it can change and does change all the time. Get any volume on the history of science, whether it's a little volume or, you know, like the Cambridge University Press, multi-volume, whatever, 40 volumes or whatever, history of science, we'll see change constantly in worldviews and even views about what's solid, et cetera, et cetera. Science changes, but the nature of our habit is that we choose certain aspects of science and then we get oftentimes stuck on them. That's the nature of habit. We all, I'm going to use an American analogy, where there's, what state is it? Missouri? The show me state. We want to be shown materially that everything is worked out. And when it comes to spiritual teachings, we want them also to be materially true. I always sort of laugh when I see some of my Dharma friends and some of the Dharma teachers at these brain laboratories with, you know, with the gadgets on their head that, you know, are sort of into their brain, and, you know, they're meditating there, and then the gadgets, you know, measure the waves and so on. And then some professor at Wisconsin says, look, his alpha waves are, going like, but look, when he does that, they go, and that's supposed to be some sort of sign or something. I have a philosopher friend who, I'll mention his name, why not? Ken Wilber. About 20 years ago, he got a hold of one of these gadgets, and he used to love to play the part of the game of putting the gadget on. And if you got the right waves, the gadget would come up and make like this, strange little crown on your head. And as a parlor game, he would show the great, meditation of his mind by making, all the little like lotus leaves, of this gadget go. Actually, how can I do it more like that? And then if you wanted to play the game, you say no. But that was Ken, and he's a funny guy. And I used to endlessly make fun of him, and I think he got the joke. So it's not a bad thing, but it really entertained him that he could, with his mind, move the machine. Wow. So we have this nihilistic habit, which is about materialization. Materializing. Our whole life, our whole existence is a collection of habits. And for the most part, they're a collection of bad habits. Of course, we have many good habits. It's said that it's really a good habit to wash your face. So most of us have this really good habit. We get up in the morning, we wash our face, right? And then there's supposed to be the good habit of, that's a good habit too, brushing our teeth, right? And some of us have, the good habit of cleaning our ears, I remember Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. He I don't know if you know who that is. One of the great lamas of the last generation. He had one special, very long nail on this finger, and it was, who knows what esoteric purpose it had, but the exoteric habit was ear cleaner. So he would oft times have the good habit of cleaning his ears, and we would all notice, oh, isn't that a good habit? He keeps his ears so clean, or whatever, or whatever our thoughts might be. So, we have these various habits, but from the Dharma point of view, the biggest problem is the habit of reverse point of view. We do not perceive clearly. In fact, the Dharma says very clearly that not only do we not see clearly, hear clearly, smell clearly, taste clearly, feel clearly, mentate clearly. In fact, what we see, what we hear, smell, taste, touch, etc., all of it is reinterpreted and off, not just off 1%, 2%, 5%, 180. So we have this great field, which is our life. we have this body. This body has perceptors. Right? We have what we can see. We have what we can hear, objects of perception. And we also have the process of perception, in Buddhism known as the ayatnas, and or the dhatus, maybe in this case. And what is pointed out in Abhidharma, in the Abhidharma teachings, is that the ayatnas or the dhatus are not unified. Everything is misperceived. And our habit is so often based on misperception. Really messed up perception, especially our mental perception. Dharma, when we meet it, offers us a way to work with this. Basically, Dharma or Buddhahood, wakefulness, enlightenment is about no habit. But it's very difficult, if not almost impossible, to go from 180 degrees off, total misconception, to enlightenment. If it's pointed out to us that our perception is skewed, we might ask, what can we do? And Dharma answers, replace negative thoughts, emotions, perceptions with positive thoughts, emotions, perceptions, until there is no habit, no karma, and the ayatnas are unified. There is no separation between object, perception, the process of perception, and the receptor. In fact, in the Mahayana, it's also pointed out that it's all it's an illusion, like a dream, like a fantasy. Even the eyes, the ears, the nose, what we can see, what we can hear, what we can smell, and all these things. But that's a huge leap, because here we are with all the things we think, all the things we feel, all the things we perceive. So the antidote is creating, through the use of our spiritual, brilliant imagination, pure perception, clear perception, simplicity, just being. And we do that by asking for help. If we ask for help, it can be provided, because once we hear the Buddha Dharma, once we hear of Buddha, once even if we see a symbol of the Buddha, whether it be a statue representation, a painting, a sunset, sunrise, a mountain, a lake, waves of the ocean, and so on. Once we see that, we know there's another way. And prayer implies wisdom, that there's something to pray to. But we might have a theistic notion that something outside of us is going to help us out. Good luck. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, the 7-line prayer actually appears. It's known as the King of Aspiration prayer, Samantra Bhadra's aspiration to good actions. And I'm going to read this from the Avatamsaka Sutra, and then we'll talk about how to develop good habit, how to turn our misperception into pure and clear perception. And later on, how this fits with the Vajrayana view of Guru Yoga and blessings from the Guru, whether it be Buddha, Padmasambhava, or our own teachers. So from the Avatamsaka Sutra, to all the Buddhas, the lions of the human race, in all directions of the universe, through past and present and future, to every single one of you, I bow in homage. Devotion fills my body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer, aspiring to good action, all the victorious ones appear vivid here before my mind, and I multiply my body as many times as atoms in the universe, each one bowing in prostration to all the Buddhas. In every atom preside as many Buddhas as there are atoms, and around them all their Bodhisattva heirs. And so I imagine them filling completely the entire space of reality. Saluting them with an endless ocean of praise, with the sounds of an ocean of different melodies, I sing of the Buddha's subtle qualities and praise all those who have gone to perfect bliss. To every Buddha, I make offerings of the loveliest flowers, of beautiful garlands, of music and perfumed ointments, the best of parasols, the brightest lamps, and finest incense. To every Buddha, I make offerings, exquisite garments, and the most fragrant scents, powdered incense, heaped as high as Mount Meru, arranged in perfect symmetry. Then offerings vast and unsurpassable, I imagine I give to all the Buddhas, and moved by the power of my faith in Samantabhadra's good actions, I prostrate and make offerings to all of you virtuous ones. Whatever negative acts I have committed while driven by desire, hatred, and ignorance, with my body, my speech, and also with my mind, before you, I acknowledge and purify each and every one. With a heart full of delight, I rejoice at all of the merits of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, and the Arhats beyond training, and every living being throughout the entire universe. You who are like the beacon of light shining through the worlds, who pass through the stages of enlightenment to attain Buddhahood, freedom from all attachments, I urge you, all of you protectors, turn the insurpassable wheel of Dharma. Joining my palms together, I pray to you who intend to pass into nirvana, remain for aeons as many as the atoms in this world, and bring well-being and happiness to all living beings. What little virtue I have gathered through my homage, through offering, confessing, and rejoicing, through exhortation and prayer, all of it I dedicate to the enlightenment of beings. So this is another iteration. Iteration of what? In Buddhism, we have the idea of what's known as the alaya, the underlying mess, not mess, of samsara and nirvana, of our thoughts, everybody else's thoughts, of all emotions, of all phenomena, whether it be high-rise buildings or spacious lakes, and all the collections of perceptions of every kind, mathematical formulas, physical, philosophical ideas, sexual fantasies, sexual so-called realities, pizza, toes, fingernail polish, every possible phenomena is just there. The alaya. The alaya is our life. The alaya is our mind. It's not separate. Our mind is included in it. Our life is included in it. Our religion is included in it. Our body's included in it. Our shit's included in it. Our soap's included in it. Everything's included. It's all there, and it's just what is. And sometimes other people have given it a name. Carl Jung coined this idea of the collective unconscious. That somehow is in there too, and trying to describe it from his insight, and so on. So there's all this stuff that we call life. And this is the alaya, and it's a mess. It has all pure and impure phenomena. Everything, it's all there, jumbled all together, just like our mind. And if we identify with that, with all of it, any identification or any attachment, we develop the habit of wanting more of this shit. More of all of it. We want to materialize all of it. Whatever our imagination comes to our imagination, we want, we want to materialize that, or send it back into our stupor, or whatever it is. All this stuff is always going on. From the Dharmakaya point of view, the alaya is no different than Buddhahood, actually. But that's like that's from the enlightened point of view, where there is no dualistic thinking, there are no misperceptions, and so on. For us, we have the ability, through the teachings of the Buddha and his heirs and heiresses, the opportunity to clean up this mess. And the cleaning up of this mess all has to do with changing our mind to a mind of prostration, offering, confessing, rejoicing, rest, requesting, turning the wheel of dharma, requesting our teachers to remain, and dedicating all our merit. One by one, we can replace those things that hinder us, that cause us so much pain over and over, lifetime after lifetime, and so on. And it's very simple. The prostration part is the antidote for the poison of pride. I'm an expert on pride. I am an arrogant son of a bitch, if you haven't figured that out yet. But not only that, you might be an arrogant son or daughter of a bitch too. And pride is something that makes us think that this does not apply to me. I remember when my teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche, first started talking about prostrations and doing prostrations. And of course, I'm listening to him. I read about prostrations in the book, and I'm listening to him, and so on. And in my mind, I'm saying, he doesn't mean this for us. This is for peasants. And it's, even without, this is just, a dumb kid, I was 20 something years, but my mind was already like, this is for peasants. And it's not for peasants. It's for anyone who wants to overcome pride. It's in fact an antidote. And because we have this wondrous mind, we can use our wondrous imagination that we do when we do even a single prostration. It can be 1,000,000,000,000 prostrations. It just depends on how many prostrators we can imagine. You know, we can begin with ourself and our mother and our father and brother or sister, friends, you know, Melbourners, Quebecers, Australians, you know, Canadians, Americans, Earthlings. You know, I forget the name of this solar system, this solar systems, the next solar systems, the solar systems beyond those solar systems, etc., etc. And what do we prostrate to? We prostrate to Buddha, all awake, fully awake, not woke, awake. Okay, it's like that. And later, for those who are Vajrayanists, that becomes something that is part of one's daily practice. But all Buddhist traditions, whether they are the early schools, you know, the Theravada and the other early schools, you know, whether it's the Shravakayana or the Pratyeka Buddhayana, or in Mahayana, Bodhisattvayana, or any of the schools of Vajrayana, prostration or bowing is one of the first things that we learn. And why? So that our body, our physical body, our speech, and our mind can come together and be open to perceiving the truth that is dharma, and not thinking it's for somebody else, peasants or otherwise. So Buddhists generally make prostrations to teacher or venerable one. If you go to Buddhist countries like Thailand, you'll find people making prostrations to Buddha statues, but they'll also make prostrations to a revered Thera or monk, or a revered nun, or sometimes to an representation of an elephant, if it represents the Buddha, and so on. There are all kinds of representations, reminders, and so on. When we move our body, include our speech, and include our mind, we open ourselves to wakefulness. Wakefulness is welcomed. Hello, wakefulness. Help me. From the Hinayana point of view, or the Pratyeka, the Shravakayana and Pratyeka points of view, this has to do with like taking refuge. And what do you want refuge from? From the fruits of samsara, the pain of suffering, etc. Taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is taking refuge from all that causes harm, no matter what it might be. And the Mahayana point of view opens that up even further, that not only do we want help for ourselves, We want help for all sentient beings, not just for ourselves. So prostration and refuge oftentimes go together, whether it's for ourselves or for ourselves and others. And Buddhist practices are really interesting in that there's a main reason for doing something. And then there are just coincidentals that come on the side. Bowing, prostrations, is also sharpens the mind and helps the body, and the physical body and the subtle body. And it's said to also help untie the knots that, within our karmic, within our subtle bodies that that bind our thinking and cause us all kinds of mental pain. And it also helps our physical pain, etc., because it helps make our body sturdier. But we don't just, as Buddhists, bow or prostrate like going to the gym. It's not like that. It's with the mind of going beyond pride and actually asking for help, actually asking for protection, actually asking for instruction and teaching. Pride is very difficult to overcome. But we're given this simple way. You bow, you prostrate. It's all doable. If you have physical issues or so on, you can bow and prostrate with your mind. Yeah. If you have situations where you can't prostrate, in other words, putting your hands to the ground, your head to the ground, your knees to the ground, no problem. You pay homage by circumambulating, like a holy place or a holy teacher's place, or whatever it may be, some object of wakefulness that you perceive as wakeful. All that we're doing is untraining our mind from bad habit and retraining our mind to good habit. But remember, just being a goody-goody isn't what it's all about. We develop these good habits to be free from habit, to be like Buddha, like that. Oh, I'm going really slow here. I'm so sorry. Okay. So the second of the branches is offerings. And you're familiar with offerings. If you go to a Buddhist center, Buddhist monastery, Buddhist nunnery, a Buddhist teacher's home, or Buddhist practitioner's home, you'll find flowers and incense and offerings of all kinds, offerings to wakefulness. And offering, and the sense of offering, is the antidote for greed or miserliness. Sometimes I complain to Amy when we're doing I can't believe this. I'm telling you this. It's ridiculous. And Amy's over there laughing. I complain because she buys blueberries out of season, right? Because, you know, I really don't like paying that much for blueberries, you know, because it's like out of season. Our blueberries, believe it or not, come from Australia or New Zealand or Peru or Argentina. And for the most part, they taste like they've come out of the bottom of someone's dankiest basement. And I complain because, you know, the whatever it is, $6 or $7, sometimes $8, if it's really out of season between boats or whatever. You know, it's like, why are you offering those? They're so expensive and they taste so bad. And that's because I'm a miserly guy. I fill the. I was born into a Jewish family, so I got to be a little miserly, you know. Or, you know, for those of you that don't understand the Jewish thing, just think Scottish, or the Canadians who are laughing, they just have to think Quebecois. You know, they're really cheap. You know, there are all kinds of cheap people in this world. The idea of offerings is offerings are infinite. We can make outer offerings, but then we can also make offerings with our mind. We can be so miserly in our own mind, so fussy and so ridiculous. And the sense of offering is exquisite offering, fantastic offering. You know, like the best visual offerings, the best musical offerings, the best perfume offerings, the best tasting offerings, the best feeling offerings, you know, the best symbolic offerings. And making offering, infinitely overcomes our greediness, takes us outside of ourself. We are retraining our mind. What are we making offerings to? Buddha, Bodhisattvas, which are no different than our own wisdom mind. But from our wisdom mind, we make offerings to wisdom mind. It's not about ego. It's about going beyond ego, going beyond holding back. So is one of the staff here? Do we have 10 more minutes before the break?
We have 15 more minutes, Sam.
Okay. I could open it to questions now, if people have questions, because and then I can come back to the rest of it in the second session. So sure. I know we're pretending that we're in Australia. I'm pretending, that's for sure. It's blue sky, there are palm trees, there's it's 70 degrees. Whoops, it's supposed to be winter here. It's warmer here than in Melbourne. What's wrong with you guys? And, but, you know, Aussies are famous, I was told when I was in Australia, they have this syndrome, right? You have the syndrome with tallest poppy syndrome. And if you ask a question, it's supposed to be a really bad thing, you know, like, because then your little head is popping up, and, you know, and they say, I guess, you know, comes from old imperial times, where if your head pops up, you know, it's going to get chopped off. So if you're brave enough, let's see if we can chop your head. Chop your head. Okay, come on. Who has a question? I can't see anybody. Staff, are there any questions coming?
I'm just looking around now, Sam. I can't see any. If you'd like to just
let me look at these people. I'm going to force my friends here to make. I see Marisha and Irvin here, and one of the two of them, because they're really bright and they're laughing now, and they're on the spot, and they're going to have to ask questions. It could be either one of you. I don't care. But, you know, if you're going to be laughing that much, you got to ask a question.
Okay, okay, Sam, nice to meet you again after all these years. Sam, you mentioned the 7. Can you just reiterate what the first was? Prostrations, the second was offerings, and I think I missed the third.
Third is confession.
Confession, was it? Okay, confession. And then there was requesting turning of the wheel. Is that correct?
The fourth is rejoicing.
Oh, rejoicing, okay. Confession, rejoicing. Then there was requesting the turning the wheel. Is that correct?
Turning the wheel of dharma, correct.
And asking the teacher to remain.
That's correct.
And
but it's
then,
not just that teachers.
Teachers, yep, to remain. And then dedication. Is that, yep.
Dedication to all beings, yes.
Right, great. So when it comes to confession, what are we confessing?
We're gonna cover that in the next one, but what we are confessing is all the stupid things that we do, all the stupid habits that we have, all the pride, all the ignorance, all the anger, the whole mess.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
How we have separated ourselves from the simplicity of Buddha nature and its blossoming.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Thank you.
But thank you for asking, as they say. Okay, let's see who else I just want. Some of this is just I want to hear your voice, and we're going to go for that. And McAdams, David, nice to see you, mate.
Good morning, Sam. How you doing?
Good morning, David. What's on your mind?
I'm just, I feel like I'm sitting in a room with you, in your lair, in your room. Just
this is Lodro's lair. I am a servant in this room.
we're all servants in the room of Lodro's lair, just really basking in your brilliance and humor. Thank you so much, Sam.
That was a question?
There's no question.
Okay, so let's, geez Louise. Sue. Hi, Sue. What's up? Question.
Hi, Sam. I'm enjoying you very much. So happy that you're here. Sam, sorry, I'll just take this off. So, Sam, the 7-branch prayer sounds to be quite similar to the 4 ordinary preliminaries, the preliminary practices. Is it just that it's a shorter version?
No, it's ever so slightly different if you notice. And you know, it's dharma. So what we learn about dharma is the same thing is said 84,000 plus ways until we hear it. And if you were at the forum the other day, I really loved what Roshi had to say at it. He said, the beginning of Buddhist practice is memorizing.
Yes.
And it's good to memorize the Dharma. So this is something worth memorizing because you can always come back to it when you're confused. If greed appears, you can come back to it. It will appear. if doubt appears, you can come back to it and so on. But in reality, all of Dharma is memorizable. I have known some amazing teachers, and many of them, people like Trungpa Rinpoche himself, had whole sutras and tantras memorized. You know, like, because their minds, they were able to clear the mind of bullshit. And instead of bullshit, I mean, I have so much bullshit in my mind about history and philosophy and biblio things about books and so on. And I don't think I wasted my life with all these things, but I wasted my life with all of these things. So, but I can always come back to the 4 reminders, the 7-line prayer, the Nundro, Prajnaparamita Sutra, the 7-line prayer of Guru Rinpoche, and so on. The things that bring my mind back to, it's not just my mind. It's not just me and mine, like that. So this is one of those important teachings and important prayers that all of the principles go through all of the Dharma, no matter which school of Dharma you're talking about. It's like that.
Thanks, Sam.
Oh, Camille, we have a New Zealander. My God. Hi, Camille. Don't hide your face. Speak up, young lady.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Well, I guess I don't know if it's my pride, but I always want to really feel what I'm doing, and I guess with these things, I have real difficulty with that. I really want to feel. You know, you see people prostrating and it looks like they're really, you know, they have real devotion. And same with offering, you know, it's a real sense of wanting to give something. And I don't know, I have so much blockage around that. Like I really want to feel it, but I guess, you know, it's all the stuff in the Aliyah. It's just in the way.
Look, I've been a Dharma practitioner my whole life. I still balk at prostrations. I balk at all of this stuff, even though I know deeply how worthwhile it all is. But through training one's mind to see the balking as just a thought or a cluster of thoughts that in fact has no substance at all. The duality of it can sometimes open up, and our dualistic habit can be broken. And the more we can just see that our resistance to what's true, our resistance to our neurotic habits is just a habit on top of all those other habits. Even if it opens just for a moment, then it'll open again and again. The meaning of practice is it's not just once. Unless you're really the keenest practitioner that ever lived. and you're telling me you're not. So try again. Try again. The flower will get lighter. It won't be so heavy. You know, I'm just offering a flower, God damn it. Why is it so heavy? It's so, Dharma is so unbelievably simple. What's complicated is our mind. Dharma, in fact, all that Dharma means is what is the truth. And the Dharma teachings are that which allow us not only to see the truth, but to be the truth. And not only to be the truth, but without an ego about it. It's not about being someone special. You know, it's about fulfillment, fulfilling the potential of our Buddha nature. It's like that. And part of that is you can see, you know, I'm going to tell you something that I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyway. And then we're going to take a break. When I was studying with Trungpa Rinpoche while he was alive, by a set of circumstances, because I'd had some Zen training and Chan training before I met him, I was put into the ridiculous situation very early on of being a meditation instructor and you know, when he taught Vajrayana, an under teacher. And his main instructions to us when people were doing intensive things was this. We used to keep rolls of who came, like this was at seminaries and so on, who came to practice, what time they arrived, and so on, and how many they missed and how many they came to and so on. And we did the same with Nundro, people doing prostrations and so on and so on. And he says, the only ones you really have to watch out for is that top little percentage who are perfect and the bottom little percentage who are totally imperfect. Everybody else is okay. Are you catching the drift here?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry to make people ask questions, but really it's helpful to all of us. And we'll be back in I'm on the wrong time here. We'll be back in a half an hour.